A paradise in ruins, a nation drowning in oil, yet starving for bread. It begins with one man, Nicolás Maduro, a former bus driver who trades the steering wheel of a coach for the destiny of a revolution. But as the Bolivarian dream collapses into hyperinflation and hunger, the beef with Washington takes a deadly turn. It is no longer about politics. It is about the cartel of the suns. The U.S. doesn't see a president. They see a kingpin with a $50 million bounty on his head. The tension snaps when the hunter becomes the hunted, and the greatest oil power in South America finds itself in the crosshairs of a superpower that has run out of patience. The clock hits zero. The strikes begin. This is the story of the struggle to de-cartelize Venezuela. Before the $50 million bounty, before the narco-terrorist indictments, he is a man of the transit lines, a bus driver for the Caracas Metro, a union brawler with a high school education and a direct line to the eternal comandante, Hugo Chavez. When Chavez dies in 2013, he doesn't leave the keys of the kingdom to a general. He leaves them to the man who drove the bus. But the Bolivarian dream is fueled by one thing, oil. And when the price of crude collapses, the dream becomes a nightmare. Hyperinflation doesn't just rise, it explodes. The currency isn't worth the paper it's printed on, and the wealthiest nation in South America begins to starve. Maduro's solution isn't reform, it's a fortress. He trades a nation's future for a dictator's survival. By the early 2020s, the beef with Washington moves from the diplomatic to the criminal. The U.S. Department of Justice unseals a file that changes the rules of the game forever. They don't just see a socialist president, they see a kingpin. They name the regime the Cartel of the Suns. The message is clear. You aren't a head of state, you're a target. Washington places a $15 million price on his head, then $25 million. Finally, the number hits $50 million. Postcards of Maduro's face are dropped by the thousands into the Venezuelan jungle, turning an entire country into a bounty hunter's paradise. Maduro responds by leaning into the shadows of the East. He welcomes the warships of Moscow and the advisors of Tehran. He turns his coastline into a playground for the world's most sanctioned regimes. He thinks he's building an alliance. Washington thinks he's building a target. Then comes the maximum pressure 2.0. The U.S. Navy moves a massive armada into the Caribbean. They call it an anti-drug operation, but as the USS Gerald R. Ford, the largest warship ever built, appears on the horizon, the people of Caracas know the truth. The cage is locked, and the key is in the White House. The tension breaks, not with a speech, but with a spark. The regime begins detaining American citizens as bargaining chips. They call them spies. Washington calls them hostages. The beef has reached its expiration date. In the dead of night, the silence of Caracas is shattered. Tomahawk missiles scream across the coastline, finding the hangars of La Carota and the barracks of Fuerte Tiuna. The sky turns orange. The cartel of the suns finds itself in the crosshairs of a superpower that has run out of patience. The strikes aren't just a warning, they are a funeral for the revolution. Within hours, the unthinkable happens. Elite special forces, Delta Force, execute the Southern Spear. They bypass the palace guards. They breach the inner sanctum. The bus driver has been stopped. Nicolás Maduro is in custody.